And so it's a good idea to think about doing a home safety checklist. And you can find things like that online from the National Council on Aging and other organizations. And it sort of gives you a second set of eyes through a checklist to look around the home and see what are some hazards.
Nearly 30% of older adults in Kansas experience at least one fall every single year. Kansas State University Extension Aging Specialist Erin Martinez says Extension invests a great deal of its resources on programs that help older adults increase their confidence in maintaining their strength and balance. On today's Sound Living, tips for preventing falls. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. Martinez says the National Council on Aging recognizes September as National Falls Prevention Month in the U.S., including September 22nd as a day to raise awareness and September 23rd through the 27th as an entire week to do so. Erin, a lot happening in terms of falls prevention for September, but really this is something that we need to think about year-round. This is just an opportunity to really raise awareness.
Yes, and this is certainly something we want to be talking about and raising awareness for is falls prevention, because 1 in 4 older adults report falling each year. And in Kansas, it's 29.9% of older adults fall every single year. So these are huge numbers of older adults who are experiencing falls.
And a lot of times these falls lead to a trip to the emergency room.
Unfortunately, they do. In fact, the data shows that every 11 seconds, an older adult is seen in the emergency room for a fall in the United States.
And a lot of those are preventable, right?
They certainly are, because sometimes we're seeing things contributing to falls that we can certainly address ourselves. So making sure that we're going to the doctor and talking about if we're feeling dizzy or not right or we're losing some body strength. There's a lot of things we can do regarding our medication and looking at those side effects and talking about what alternatives are there. And then thinking about things around your house. So one simple big thing is throw rugs. Those are a huge trip hazard. And so simply getting rid of some small things in the home or moving things around can make a big difference.
And really taking it seriously.
Absolutely, because we see older adults who experience falls can have serious injuries. So the data shows that about 1 in 5 older adults who fall will experience a serious injury such as broken bones, but most commonly are traumatic brain injuries.
I often think about the broken hip, but I was surprised to find out that it really was head injuries and some other broken bones.
Absolutely. But those broken hips, about 88% of ER visits for hip fractures are a result of a fall. So huge number of hip fractures connected with falls there. But we are seeing that falls are the number one cause of traumatic brain injuries, particularly among older adults. So there's a huge connection between something that seems, falls, I should be worried about that a little bit. But when you actually do experience that fall and get seriously injured, it can be bad news.
I'm assuming, too, that we're seeing a lot of the broken arms, the broken wrists, because we're trying to catch ourselves as we fall.
Absolutely. And I can speak from experience with my grandmother who fell in the driveway and broke her wrist. And what a long recuperation process that was for her. Just a little trip in the driveway over a little piece of uneven cement caused weeks and weeks of pain and rehabilitation. So falls really are a big deal.
One of the other things I saw was the fact that it's a good idea to have some sort of an exercise program, and in particular, we're really looking at balance, strength, and flexibility.
Yeah, so that's one of the number one suggestions for fall prevention is finding a good balance and exercise program. K-State Research and Extension actually offers many of these across the state. One of the key programs is called A Matter of Balance, which looks into fall prevention and teaches you exercises and tips and tricks on how not to fall around your home and your community. We also offer programs such as Stay Strong, Stay Healthy, which helps to enhance your muscle building and strength and flexibility. And we also have a program called Walk with Ease, which is really targeted for arthritis. But really, it has a lot of connections with fall prevention as well. So a lot of options for education and engagement across the state. and so much more beyond that as well.
In addition to just increasing strength, this also, I guess, gives people some confidence as well.
Yes, fear of falling is actually really strongly connected with falling itself because we sort of, get that anxiety and then we trip and it's just, we have that sort of fight or flight sort of freak out moment. And so making sure that we're more confident in our ability to move around, get from place to place is critical because we want to reduce that fear of falling as much as we can so that then we're more confident and we're able to catch ourselves and just be in a better place with our bodies and how we're moving.
This may just be a stereotype, but sometimes it seems like they take smaller steps when they're not confident and they do a little bit more shuffling of the feet.
Yes, and shuffling can be dangerous because we're more likely to get tripped up or perhaps hit a snag on the carpet or hit a little piece of that concrete lip sticking up like my grandmother did. And so it's really important that we're learning to, maintain adequate balance and stride and doing all of those things so that we're not making these adaptations that can actually make us more prone to falling.
When it comes to the home itself, there are a lot of safety measures that we can take.
Yes, some of my big fan favorites are something so simple such as night lights around the house. Adequate lighting is so key. I know I don't like getting up in the middle of the night and stumbling around a dark room, and a nightlight can be so helpful for us with our vision, but being able to see where the furniture is or where things are, and just make us more confident in moving around the space at night. It doesn't have to be super bright or flashy or anything like that, but a simple nightlight can really make a big difference. But of course, installing things like grab bars, making sure that we have good quality, sturdy railings going downstairs, all of those things are fantastic. And then we have some free options as well, such as removing those throw rugs, watching where we're placing cords around the house and on the floor. Also thinking about your kitchen, putting things within reach is a really smart idea. So think about the things that you use most often in your kitchen and move them down a shelf or move them up a shelf, depending on where it's at, so that it's easy to access and we're less likely to have to get up on our tippy toes or bend down really low and potentially experience a fall.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot during the holidays, but extension cords year-round can be a huge problem.
Yes. Huge trip hazards when we're thinking about cords and just all of those little things laying around the house that you may not notice. And so it's a good idea to think about doing a home safety checklist. And you can find things like that online from the National Council on Aging and other organizations. And it sort of gives you a second set of eyes through a checklist to look around the home and see what are some hazards. But of course, bringing in friends or family or even an occupational therapist or someone in your community who is well-versed in fall prevention, that can be a great idea too, because they can spot things that maybe we overlook.
You mentioned rearranging furniture, and I'm wondering what is involved with that. How elaborate are we going to be?
Well, so one idea, if you are experiencing some balance issues, is to make sure that you're leaving wall space open, because then you have the wall there to steady yourself against, and you're not having to navigate around chairs and things like that. But also making sure that you are leaving adequate space between furniture so we're not trying to squeeze through. So just really keeping the space as open as possible. And if you think about yourself, right, if you go into your parents' home or grandparents' home and you think about, if I was unsteady on my feet and I needed to hold on to something my whole way across the room, could I do that? And if the answer is no, then start thinking about, how can I adjust the furniture so that I do have something to hold on to my whole way across the room?
And that furniture should be easy to get into and out of, right?
Yes, absolutely. We know that sometimes chairs can get a little too low and it can be difficult to get out of chairs as we lose some lower body strength, upper body strength even. So making sure that our furniture is adaptable. And if, it's not a possibility to go out and buy new furniture, there's adaptations we can make. And thinking about some assistive technologies or even adding some additional sturdy cushions to a chair could be a possibility. just thinking about what is going to help us be as safe as possible.
I would imagine there's also a lot of slips and falls in the bathroom.
Yep, that's a key place for falls in the house. So those grab bars are critical getting in and out of the shower. So sometimes you'll see grab bars inside of the shower, which is great. We want them there too. But also thinking about how are we getting out of the shower? That's actually where most of the falls are happening, are getting in and out of the shower or bathtub. And so making sure that we're having those grab bars there, that we're thinking about what types of rugs that we have near the tub, making sure that those are as non-slip as possible so that that transition to getting in and out is as safe as can be.
Sometimes we can use those kind of adhesive strips, too, to make sure that our footing is a little bit more sound.
Yes, and those are great to use. Those are typically low cost. You can find them in any big box hardware store. Looking at those little grippy adhesive strips, they have some that are even like a little sandy feeling, but those are really good for helping to reduce slips.
There's also a time maybe when the bathtub doesn't work and you really just do need a shower?
Yes, and so if you're functioning with a traditional bathtub, thinking about shower chairs or incorporating some sort of chair or apparatus into that bathing facility is really a smart idea. And I know nobody's running to the store, yay, I'm going to go buy a shower chair. But thinking about it's all about your safety and well-being, and we want to live as well as we can and as independently as possible for as long as possible. And so sometimes we just need to embrace the fact that we need a little assistance, and that's okay.
And a grab bar next to the toilet might also come in handy for some folks?
Absolutely. So getting up and down is one of those times where we can experience falls, making sure that we have adequate stability on those grab bars on either side. Sometimes one side is only a possibility for getting it into a wall, but there's also options for getting something that is more freestanding but still stable so that you can use both arms to help push yourself up.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but there is so much assistive technology available now that there's probably some sort of a remedy for any situation.
Oh, absolutely. And K-State Research and Extension has gotten involved in learning more about assistive technology. We have demonstration kits thinking about ways to make our everyday, living situation and all those activities that we do every day a little bit easier through the use of assistive technology. So that's another great resource that can help all individuals, but especially older adults and individuals with disabilities.
There are also a few things that people could do outside, and again, lighting is right at the top of the list.
Yes, so of course, outside the home is a major place for falls as well. The majority of our falls do happen at home, and that includes the outdoor space. But what's interesting is that more men fall outside than women. Some recent data shows that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So thinking about the different places that we spend time outside, are there trip hazards? Does an area of cement need to be fixed? What about stairs? Stairs are a big thing outside, especially if they're wooden and maybe they've gotten a little rotten over the years. There can be some lower cost fixes outside that can make a big difference. And also thinking about lighting. So it used to be that, you would have to do the wiring and all of the things, right? And get an electrician. But now we actually have some solar operated lights around our house, and they work beautifully. They're very bright. They work every single time, and they just have this little tiny solar panel that's attached to it. And so no electricity, no wiring, just really putting it up. But it's made things a lot safer around the outside of our home.
If people want more information, they can contact their county extension office, and they have all of the publications available.
Absolutely. We have so much information that is linked to fall prevention in one way or another. So whether that's healthy living programming, also thinking about how nutrition and overall well-being is connected to fall prevention, thinking about assistive technology, the Extension Office really has a plethora of resources right at our fingertips, ready to help everyone.
That's Kansas State University Extension Aging Specialist Erin Martinez with tips for preventing falls. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. And this is the K-State Radio Network.